It's an 8. Small is beautiful. That's beautiful. Ready to start? Buenos días, estimados colegas. Muchísimas gracias por la invitación. Tengo muchas ganas de trabajar con vosotros y espero que el día de hoy sea productivo y muy provechoso para todos. Quería darle la bienvenida en vuestro idioma, pero como mis conocimientos de español son prácticamente nulos, es decir, corresponden a 0. Lo he perdido a mi hija, que me traduce estas frases. Confío ciegamente en la madre hija. If the workshop would have to go on in Spanish, we would have to stop now. Perhaps at the end of the day you say that would have been a good thing. But still, I'm happy to be here and it's good to be with you. I was told that I would meet a group of Spanish teachers of English, and the topic, so to speak, was levels of competence. In particular, 2 levels of competence, A2, B1, and we will look at that in some detail as we move along, right? So, my name is Franz, or Fran, or Francesco, as you like, right? Would you just, I would like to call you by your names, would you just to produce a little sort of paper giving me your name? Paper. Here is paper. So, could I just have a very quick roundup? Who is who, right? And so that I know do you know each other?
Some of them.
Some of them. So it will be a good exercise to start with. Pauline, right? Pauline, would you just tell us in a nutshell who you are and why you are here? Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome. Take a
Thank
seat
you.
here. There is 1 or 2 seats in this room.
Right, I work in the School of Italia in Alicante, in the department that's in San Vicente, and I've worked in school for language schools for 8 years now. But I'm old, so I started late in the language schools. And I'm here because I think that it's never too, well, you never know. We've got to keep on learning and recycling and keep at it.
All right, good. Thank you. So, Mayra.
That's right.
Yeah. Could you just, in a nutshell, tell us where you're from, what you do?
Well, I'm a teacher from the Alzira UR, which is Alzira is a small town in Valencia.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I'm here. I'm not teaching A2 or B1 this year. In fact, I've never taught A2 in an EOI. But I think the topic of trying to find a common ground with the levels is really interesting and necessary.
All
So
right.
that's what I'm doing.
Good. Thank you, Mayra. Laura.
Yes. I'm Laura and I'm teaching at the same school as Valencia, and I live there as well. And here I'm teaching A2 and B1, so I hope it's
So do you know what you're doing?
Well, I'm not sure. I'll see.
You'll see,
I'll
right.
see after today.
Thank you, Laura. So, back, Marta.
Hello, so my name is Marta and I'm teaching in Guard de Poblet.
Where is that?
It's near Valencia
Near
as
Valencia,
well,
yeah.
in the suburbs.
All right, okay.
and I'm quite happy to be here to share my experience with you.
Good, good, good. Right. Fine, thank you. Maria Jose?
Yes, no, I work in the same school as Mark.
Yeah?
And I'm not currently teaching Iva level, so I expect to learn a lot.
All right, okay, good. let's see what they did. Alfonso, thank you.
Hi, my name is Alfonso. I'm teaching currently in Castellón, which is a city at the north of Valencia, about 70, 80 kilometers away.
Yeah?
And I'm teaching B1 this year.
Okay, good.
So
Fine.
we'll see how it goes.
Good, let's see what happens. Right, Lara.
So, yeah, I teach with them. I work at Apeoicva, and I'm teaching B1 this year, and I've been teaching B1 for it's like 6 years or so.
So perhaps we should swap places,
I think so.
right?
I think so now. No, but yeah.
All right, so then we have Maria.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. I also work in Apeoicva and I'm teaching A2. And I'm really thinking an English course or this exchange of experiences to see if we are in the right way.
Okay, good. Very good, thank you, Maria. Then we have Kathy.
Yep. I'm teaching in Benidorm, which you may have heard of as a well-known
That's a tourist resort, isn't it? Yeah.
destination.
How many Brits around? In summer there are many Brits. Many
A
Brits,
lot.
yeah, a lot,
Yes. Very many. Yeah. And I haven't taught B1 for, I would say, several years. This year I'm teaching B2 and C1.
Oh, well, yes.
But at the end of the year, then we all have to examine the students in the certification exams.
Yeah. And you
to
do that at all
assess
levels?
all levels. So I think it's important, especially bearing in mind that I'm not teaching B1 this year. I haven't taught B1 for several years. I
Right.
think it's important to
Okay.
kind of keep in touch with
Yeah.
the level.
Yeah.
You know?
Thank you, Kathy. That's good. Virginia.
Yeah, that's
Hello.
right. Well, I'm Virginia. I work in Apeoicva, which is next to Apeoicva. And I'm pleased to be here because, I used to teach A1, A2 and B1 when I was in Barcelona many years ago, but now I usually teach B2 or C1.
C1.
And that's it, but anyway, I'm here and I will be,
There is
well,
a lot.
you're all invited to Shativa, which is the next one, so please come. We will start with a little party there, and that's it. So I'm calling people to come here as well.
Okay.
That's why I'm here.
That's you. So, Virginia, you're here on a mission.
You should think about it.
Right.
You can go now.
Thank you very much, Elena.
Hi, I work here in Shativa as well. Yeah, I'm here precisely because I've never taught B2, A1, A2, sorry.
A2, B1. Yeah.
Well, B1 like 2-3 years ago, but I always teach advanced.
Okay,
It's
good.
very, very important.
Mhm.
Basic
Good,
levels.
thank you very much. Elenia.
Well, I work in Amsterdam. I'm currently teaching B1, but I've never taught A2. So I need to learn loads of things about A2. And B1 too, because I think it's difficult. One thing is teaching when it comes to examining and just like with the level. So I think it's quite difficult.
That's probably a different kettle of fish, yeah? All right, good, thank you. Now, just a few words who you are dealing with, as to who you're dealing. But can we have a few rules of the game, right? We are a small group, so at any moment you feel like it, interfere. I'm not going to give a 6 or 8 hours lecture here. No, definitely. I will have to do some talking, otherwise I wouldn't earn my money. But interfere as you like it. Say stop, move around, digress, and don't disappear, but feel as you feel good. Second thing, Would you mind if I do one or two pieces of correction?
No.
Because I heard everybody, each of you say, I'm teaching. At the moment you're sitting in this classroom expecting a workshop. You teach at this or that school, right? A little bit of grammar, right? If you don't mind.
Right.
If you don't mind.
Right.
If you say no, I keep my mouth shut and that's it.
No,
Right?
please do it.
Okay. My name is Franz. I was born and bred and raised in Austria and spent some time in Britain, notably Scotland. If you would like to have a little bit of Scottish accent, I can do it in Scotland, right? But I'm trying to do my best with English, British English, RP they say, they see pronunciation, right? I started as a teacher of English and French, but I haven't taught French for a long time, so I can't really claim I'm a teacher of French anymore. So I taught English and French in Austria and got into teacher training. So in Britain there is a sentence, as a saying, if you're a good teacher, teach kids. If you're not so good a teacher, teach other teachers. And if you're a very lousy teacher, go to the ministry and write the curriculum. So in a way I'm a mix of the three, right, in Austria. Anyway, I got into teacher training and this is why I'm here, right? And as I said, I'm looking forward to this. Okay, ready to start. Now, one thing, I've prepared a PowerPoint presentation which will take us through the whole thing. Not, of course, knowing your exact needs and interests. And so I will have to ask for your special needs as we move along. And if there is something that you say, come on, I'm fed up with it, I've seen that 1,000 times, tell me, and we move on, right? Don't worry. However, my PowerPoint presentation, or let's put it that way, this computer doesn't seem to like my PowerPoint presentation very much. So you will have, at times, you will have an overlap of scripts and papers. Sorry, I couldn't anticipate that. Anyway, we are doing our very best. Okay? So, as with any teaching, I think we should ask ourselves the question why. Why do we do what we do? And in order to upload for you, I would suggest we download first, right? So if you tell me, some of you already did, your expectations, hopes, needs, interests, as far as your teaching situation with regard to A2, B1 is concerned. Now some said, I don't teach that, but still perhaps you can come up with one or two things that you said, at the end of the day, I would like to have communicated, I would like to have talked about this or that. And maybe you don't even need myself to provide with you with some ideas. Perhaps you can even exchange amongst yourselves. I don't know. But if there is anything that you said, which are my special needs and interests, make a note of what that is. Something that you said, at the end of the day, I would have liked to talk about. I would have liked to discuss this or that. Take a moment and write down one or two things, because we'll come back on that. You may discuss amongst yourself. What is it that you would have been really interested as regards Common European Framework, as regards levels, as regards what is level A2, Why is something A2 and not A1 and not B1? What characterizes it? I'm not insinuating anything, I'm just asking you to think a little bit, come up with one or two things, and then we prove that and see whether I've got an answer or not. So my slide says at the end, the two things I would most like to take away from this course. Do you examine what it is?
Well, I've seen it in all of
All of
us.
it. Okay.
It's tricky because you've known the partner, you don't really know what they say. You have to trust your know what we should step.
Okay, let's see. Kathy, what would you like?
Yeah, again, the same. Basically, in terms of examination, written examination and discussion, so to have a clearer idea of what exactly a student should be able to do in order to say this is a pass or a fail, a day 2 level, a day 1 level.
Okay.
And have it clear enough in my mind so that I can say to my colleague who's also examining the same student, assessing the same student.
All
what they
right,
say
I
to
can
me.
see this. All right. So, yes, Lara.
I think I have, the feeling that we're all expecting kind of a checklist of the things that we're supposed to, to see in a student that is taking an A2 or B1 exam. It's just like, what should we expect from them? And I think we're not going to get the checklist, but
Have a clearer idea.
yeah, just to have somehow
Okay,
an
right,
idea,
right.
yeah, and that kind of what to expect, because I think we have all read like the Common European Framework, we all know what that is, but then again our exams are kind of in a different level, so we're kind of hoping that we're just gonna get to the point where our exams and our levels meet the Common European Framework, guidelines and things. So I guess that's mostly what we're here for, just kind of, meeting, those guidelines, because I think we are not currently, at those levels.
All right, so let me talk a little bit about definition of level, what is it?
Yeah.
We might even try to look at something which might be called the identity of a level. So, or the identity of a typical speaker of that particular level. What can he, she do? Clearly I have heard that word assessment.
Yeah.
Right? It's a tricky thing, assessment. Anything else that I hear?
Well, one thing I think we're going to try to stop doing is impose what we think is right and accept what the Common European Framework says is right. And what we're doing at the moment, I think, in terms of the level of the exams in the first instance and then the correction of the exams, people think that is what is such and such, and it isn't necessarily correct.
It isn't,
So there's a battle between the exams, between us and our colleagues. There's just a general
All right, okay.
mismatch.
And you expect to take home some ammunition, right?
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Have you been given any kind of background to the way we assess our students?
Pardon?
Have you been given any
No.
background? No, okay.
No.
Well, just to give the Escuela Oficial de Idiomas gives the students official government certified.
Standardized tests.
Yeah, okay, so the level of the Valencian community, all the students have to sit an examination which we are sent from the
Board, some examination board.
well, yeah, okay. We received the examination which we have to do. So there are 4 parts: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. The listening and the reading we can't do very much about because it's it's objective.
But writing and speaking.
Writing and speaking, there's let's see, how can I explain it?
There is room.
It's-
There is room for interpretation.
Exactly.
Yes.
The
Let's put it
range
that way.
of
To be tough,
interpretation,
To be tough, right?
it
That's the
tends to
point.
be fairly wide.
All right.
So I think that the idea is to try to teachers who are working at the EOI to try and reach some kind of consensus agreement as to what we should be asking or demanding of the students in order to say, okay, the student can pass this level. We have to assess at the end of the year. We spend the month of June doing examinations, and all the teachers, regardless of what courses they've been teaching during the year or over the last 10 years or last 20 years, they have to take part in the assessment of all levels, so A2, B1, B2, C1 and C2. Okay?
Good. See the point. I see your point, right. By the way, I've heard you talk about assessment and testing,
Well,
which is, as you probably know, not the same thing at all.
yeah, I agree. But
And we will look into that, I think, because as a teacher, what we do or should do is assess. As examiners, what we do is examine. Now, sometimes as a teacher we are examiners, but there's 2 different things. Probably, if that's okay, I would like to discuss that issue in some more detail. Okay, looks good. Now I've forgotten to ask your name?
Conchi.
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 Right. Are you from here, Conchi? Are you
Yes.
from Gandia?
Yes, I started working 3 weeks ago.
Okay, so you are a newcomer to
Yes.
the whole business.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Right. So the 2 things you would like to take home from the course, Indian and Chinese takeaway. So take away from the course is something related to that. Is there anything else? Okay. Okay, let's see what I can offer. We need to start a little bit away from this topic, I'm afraid, and about communication and what communication is about. I started my talk in Spanish, what I think was Spanish. but I didn't really know exactly what I was saying. So I had to rely on somebody. What was the purpose of communication with that beginning? What would you think? It's not an easy thing to go, well, talk to teachers anyway, but to talk to teachers in a language which is theirs and not yours, and still use a few phrases. Why do you think did I decide to do that?
Because you wanted to get close to us. You wanted us to see you as a friendly and approachable person.
All right? All right, exactly, exactly. Communication has that element of distance, doesn't it? And their distance varies. We might well communicate from a distant position, and it would be that type of communication, wouldn't it? We might get closer, and it would be a different type of communication. And there's all sorts of cultural elements related to communication. Now, I would like to tell you a little story. Once upon a time. Once upon a time, and you see this is a roadmap of Pamplona. Once upon a time, a language teacher, a young language teacher, with his wife, young and language teacher, went on holiday to the north of Spain. And the language teacher was myself, and his wife was my wife. And we got hopelessly lost, for some reason or other, in the city of Pamplona. We kept circling round crossroads and also, and all we wanted was get out of Pamplona to France, home, right? And but we didn't make it for some reason. So we parked the car somewhere. And what do two language teachers do in such a situation? They get out their dictionary. And they get out there, this is what we did, and said, all we need to ask somebody, how do we get from here, out of Pamplona to France? Now, how do you ask that? Neither of us speaks any Spanish. So you get and look for phrases, and there is a, how do you get to the nearest pharmacy? That was that sentence. So, how do you get, and direction, dirección, yes, okay. ¿Dónde está? Dirección, we need an article. Dirección, la dirección would be French, probably would be female, wouldn't it? ¿Dónde está la dirección? France, we had seen somewhere, is Francia. And it's female as well. La Francia. But we need a preposition. Here, for pharmacy is para. Is that correct? ¿Para dónde está la dirección para la Francia? Por favor. And then you can't start like this, can you? You need to start buenos dias. And then you need to prepare. Are you talking to a gentleman? Is senor and senora, señorita? Yes. Now, what is the phrase? Buenos dias, señor. ¿Dónde está la dirección para la Francia, por favor? And you need to be more fluent. Right? Fluency is what matters. Fluency is what matters. Buenos días, señor. ¿Dónde está la dirección para la Francia, por favor? No, and what do two language teachers do? They practice. Sitting in the car and practice. Now we know that sentence. Who is going to ask? Me, of course. My wife was the professor. she corrected and kept saying, you need to be more fluent, you need to, intonation. And then I said, I would have to ask. Now who am I going to ask? Looking up, this gentleman, very busy, probably banking or something, and police, not so sure. There she comes, the lady from the market, 2 bags, right? Elderly lady with 2 bags from the market. This is the person. Well, buenos días, señora. ¿Dónde está la dirección? Then I get out of my car, go up to that lady and say, hey, buenos días, señora. ¿Dónde está la dirección para la Francia, por favor? And the answer, I didn't understand. Because the answer was at that level, which was far beyond. So communication breakdown. Wired up. And I practiced all this. I did not get anything out from it. And she was surprised. I didn't understand. So she repeated, much louder, which didn't help me. And there are other people coming. And then I got there were some directions they were pointing, not all in the same direction. In the end, we made it. But what was the, and I think this is the reason I'm telling this story, is we go for all, whenever we teach and whenever we go for perfection. Now this is far from perfection, I know, but it was not my Spanish. Had I said, La Francia, por favor, something, she would have probably have taken my hand and shown me, and I would have been successful. I would have got what I needed. That big sentence, well, big, anyway, a sentence, lots of work, didn't help. I keep telling this story to teachers, because sometimes as a teacher, we have an idea of what a student should produce at that moment. We understand in most situations because the student doesn't communicate to anybody, communicates to me as a teacher. And I know more or less exactly what that student is able to. And the student knows what he or she is expected. So what the student does is she or he does as best as they can to fulfill the teacher's expectations. Now we're talking about levels. The sentence, as I put it, what would you say? That's a single sentence. What level would you place it on? Buenos días, señora, ¿dónde está la dirección para la Francia, por favor? What level would you put? If you hear nothing but that sentence, what would you say? What type of speaker of Spanish is that? B1.
Yes. I'd say.
Say it.
I'd say A2, for example.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have said it, A2.
A2. On account of the grammar?
Yeah.
On account of the grammar, what would have been the correct way of saying?
I would say, a Spanish speaker would say something like, in a higher level, ¿por dónde se va Francia? Instead of something like this. Because you're using...
Yeah. The phrase is awkward.
Yeah.
It's awkward.
Just,
Yeah?
yeah.
But understandable.
Yeah, perfect.
Would
yeah,
you understand
understandable,
what
yeah.
I wanted?
Yeah.
But my level is A0
Yeah.
in Spanish. And here we come and discuss something upon which evidence do we base our judgment as to what level a speaker is. On a single sentence, probably not. On two single sentences, probably not. On a piece of writing, probably not. We need to get the whole picture. And, well, that's the end of the story, that's the message of the story, right? And so I thought perhaps we should look at some elements which make the picture. Why don't we just communicate amongst ourselves a little bit? Discuss at which level of competence you think you are in a language which is not Spanish and not English. My level of Italian, for instance, I think it is A2. I think it is A2. I can order a pizza. I can chat about wines. I think I can chat a little bit about the weather. I can say who I am, where I'm from, and ask people. That's, I think, A1, A2. Now, think about yourself. Which other languages do you speak? Conchi?
I can understand a little French, but I can't.
Okay, so will you join Marta and Maria Jose and discuss very briefly which level you think you are in a language which is neither English nor Spanish, right? And the same with you. You as well, and then we'll go to
I'm supposed to speak to them. It's a long time. For me. French. I probably can read it to one level. Yeah, speak as an A1, like very simple. I was in France. Five places very, very basic. And understanding very basic answers.
which language is talking about French?
Yeah, that's the same as well. I studied French about 10 years ago. And now I remember just a few words, but I didn't combine them. And information in different places to make different sentences. So at least I could get by, I could survive in French speaking country. And Valencian, for example, that's my mother's tongue, but I'm studying, well now I study Valencian and study C2 level. For me it's really complicated.
Is that
I didn't
I saw on the matrix, for instance, I saw two exit emergency exits. I don't remember, but there were two, and Catalan. All right. Okay. So, and you were in?
I don't really know.
But right now,
I can say B1.
Environment. This is a German class, isn't it? And so there are German words around. And yeah, I'm sure. And that is one of the reasons why we incorporate our announcements with the languages which we speak. All right?
I do it online, and it's very interesting. I did it for German. I can read the newspaper. It's really normal.
Well, I don't know if you
I can understand.
maybe we're doing it because we're teachers, but it's true, you start.
Yeah, very different. He was saying that he recognized that he's very low down because he's very German from online. there for years. I learned German. I could read a novel, I could read a newspaper, and I learned to see one. But this thing I would say is well, I could understand what people were saying. I could understand what they were saying on the television and things like that. But I couldn't say anything. I could write actually. I wanted to say last summer.
Are we talking about the difference between
Well, yeah, last June,
It's more natural for them to say it's large, and they know it. And rather than
they
listening to the game, it's a game. That's why perspective.
I didn't do it, but according to them, I don't know, my writing should be too late. I don't agree. I would never pass the E or I used to look like that.
Are we saying, for instance, that traditional which we have undergone, has made us fairly competent in receptive skills, but not that competent
I studied
as
one
far
year,
as
but
that
it's my reference.
I think
That's the most
different.
and that's what I remember.
The opposite.
And I remember that it's quite years ago, but I still remember the impression of feelings. I got about 30 something from scratch. And it's like, I take that teacher somebody so they taught me from scratch.
So that's why I didn't then to do a beat. I was important, especially when it comes to grammar. Okay? I didn't trust myself with, you know, tenses.
Oh, yes.
Difficult. Which is something I could overcome quite easily when speaking. Because it was not necessary to speak exactly the way people understand, even though I didn't speak perfectly.